All right. So really quick. So we worked together a couple years ago, did a few sessions, and then you were like, I'm going to go back to dieting. And so we haven't talked. And then you came back to me crawling on your hands and knees. Basically like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want my life to be this way. So we started working together and you found that initial relief. The initial relief comes from like reducing the pressure to be that thinner body, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the pressure to be thinner, I mean, that puts a ton of pressure on your food, right? On your dieting, which puts pressure on restricting food, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how long have you lived under the pressure of perfect restriction?
Oh, a long time. Years.
Yeah. Do you think that has anything to do with how you are responding right now?
Probably.
Okay, so I'm going to give a little bit more kind of context to where we're starting. Because you just a second ago said, oh, I'm kind of that point where I don't give a shit and I'm eating all the time. I'm not even caring about the hunger scale. Essentially, I'm going to put words in your mouth. I'm entitled to what I want.
Mm-hmm.
That right there is actually dieting. You're negotiating with your beliefs. And this is, to me, this is actually a step most people have to go through, especially a step people who've been moral with food, like orthorexic, in terms of obsessing about purity and the health righteousness of food. This is, go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing. Yes.
Okay. It's no different than someone who has been, let's just say, raised in a extremely severely restrictive cult, religious cult, and they start to feel angry about it. So they leave, and what do you think they do?
They probably go and do everything they were never allowed to do.
In an excessive way. And it's almost like, I'm going to break my own toy to prove that you can't play with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So that is still, this is something that has to be surrendered in recovery. It's not just forgiving the body, forgiving what you used to shame and judge and forgiving that, which is that first step, releasing yourself from having to meet the criteria of that perfection.
Mm-hmm.
There's also releasing the actual system, forgiving the system.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't know what the hell they're doing, really. Does anybody in the diet culture and the health righteous environment truly understand the destruction that they cause in their constructed righteousness?
No, they know everything.
Do you think they actually understand how?
No, it's not.
Okay. If you believe they do, then you are their victim.
No, that was sarcasm.
Okay, good. Okay. I'm like, what? Well, your behavior is actually showing the victimization.
Okay.
Right? Even though you could say it's almost like a bomb that goes off, right? Like there's so much pent up restriction. It's like the Big Bang, right? Everything is coming together so tightly. Eventually it's got to explode. And so some of this is under the moral restriction that you had. Not just I need to be thin restriction. The I am more pure in my righteous food restriction. Should we all restrict food and pleasure to feel worthy of health and well-being? That is what this is coming from. It isn't necessarily the shame-induced, I failed, I'm a piece of shit, I might as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it?
No, it's just more like, I really don't care anymore.
But are you eating to the point of discomfort?
No, I just, I don't know, sometimes I notice that during my cycle, I kind of have a couple off days. My hormones just, I don't know, I don't feel myself. And the last couple days, I've really noticed that I kind of have that I don't care anymore attitude. And usually I don't. So I figured it would be a good discussion point for today.
Well, I'm on it. I'm on it.
Yeah. And, I mean, yesterday I went out for lunch, and I didn't eat that much in the morning, so I had, like, 3 big appies at lunch and 3 beers with a friend of mine. But I got to the point where I was kind of like, at the end, I'm like, yeah, I shouldn't have ate that. You know what I mean? I was satisfied.
Like I had a little too much to eat.
Yeah. And then I wasn't even hungry for dinner, but I cooked myself dinner kind of thing. And you know what I mean? It was the habit of, it's dinner time, I should eat, but I'm not hungry, but I'm going to eat anyways. And
that's still coming from a state of feeling deprived.
Yeah.
That's like, I'm entitled to this, I feel deprived.
Yes.
Even if it causes physical discomfort, it's like you're compensating. You're compensating.
Yeah, so, I mean, I didn't...
So, pause for a second.
Yep.
Would you say you're compensating for feeling resentment?
Probably, yeah.
I mean, I'm going into it. I'm trying to get a sense of what it feels like. I'm connecting to you in some way. I want you to do that for yourself. I want you to connect to yourself. No judgment, no shame. We're not trying to blame anything. Or just opening your mind. I want you to open your mind to the feeling that is underlining that moment that you're like, because there is dialogue going through your head. I'm not hungry.
There was some anger about, just probably about my week and,
Are you feeling fat?
No, not really. I haven't even, you know what? It's such a different week. I was just so busy this week, and I didn't even think to weigh myself this morning. Like, remember last time I'm like, I didn't weigh myself for a week, but I wanted to see how much weight I kind of gained back. And this week I was kind of like, this morning I was like, I'm tired. I don't even care.
Yeah, you're burdened. I'm getting a very clear feeling of I am burdened by this whole bullshit. So this to me is an indication of the last holding of thin in health righteousness. You are still holding on to that.
I'm still holding on to a little bit. I feel like
that little bit. We're close. You're getting really close. That little bit feels burdensome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Because it is burdensome. I mean, it's a lot of freaking work. I mean, it takes a whole lot of, it takes your whole entire brain and says, you have to manage this. You shouldn't be eating that. You've got to make sure you don't do this, right? You've even maybe taken the hunger scale and made it a protective diet. Like it's a non-diet, but protects you from weight gain diet.
Yes, I think everybody does that.
Yes, everybody does. And so, yeah, of course. And that's still a problem, though. I mean, that still creates a block. So just because everybody does it doesn't mean that everybody that does it it's not a block that we have to surrender. You have to surrender this. So here we are. You're having this same, I got to get my food. I'm deserved and entitled. And I'm positive there's an unconscious concept that at some point you will temper this.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be. The brain is always looking for equilibrium. So if you have a high, there's going to be a low, it's like a pendulum swing that eventually wants to sit at zero, right? And that's what's going on. So what you're consciously aware of is the fact that you're kind of flippant about that eating to hunger, or even just you're flippant about any of the management you were doing before, managing your weight. You're kind of saying, I failed, so fuck it.
Yeah.
What are you feeling?
I don't know. Probably a little bit of anger, but it's not. I don't know where it's coming from. I'm
resentment. You're resenting it, and ultimately, I want you to take that feeling that you're experiencing, and I'm connecting that you're experiencing. I want you to put it in a bubble, and we're going to put it to the side right now. So I want you to come out of that, and we're going to start blank. And I want you to imagine the same exact week, but you're blind. You're completely blind. You cannot see. You can't see the food. You can't see your body. You can't see your weight. You can't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
How would that have changed this week in terms of how you related to food and drink?
I probably would have slowed down more.
Yeah, of course.
I noticed that I am a fast eater. I want to eat everything on my plate in 2 seconds flat.
Okay, pause. I need you to reverse, and I want you to go back into the actual emotion. Those are all symptoms, so pull back. Yeah, I mean, I eat fast. I don't have an emotional issue with food, but I eat fast out of just, I think, childish. I'm number 9 of 10 kids, and I starved a lot. And I don't even think about it. There's no emotion going into it other than that's the technique that I learned to eat is just chew, 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 swallow, chew. Anyways.
Yeah.
So don't give that any energy. I want you to come back to go into, you're blind. Tell me how that initially changes everything. Can't see your body in any way. You can't see other people. Can't see how your clothes fit. Can't see anything. Can't see the food. Can't see how much food is there. Can't see the menu. You're blind. Visibly blind. Tell me what it feels like. I'm between how you felt in this bubble we put aside, which was angst, bitter. I get a sense of I'm pissed about, I'm done with this crap. I don't want to manage shit. So you blow out, right?
Mm-hmm.
To you're completely blind and incapable.
That would make me angry too, because I feel like I'm entitled to have my sight as well.
Okay, that just surrender. That I'm calling bullshit on that answer. I want you to give me the real answer now. That's like, I'm going to keep my position. I'm a martyr. Fuck, just stop. Okay, stop. That's not the real answer. I want you to give me the real one. Go back into that. That was your narcissism coming out, and I just don't want to talk to that.
I'd probably be sad then.
Okay, move on now. Because that's accurate, but if you were blind, tell me how it would change specific. I'm trying to get you to compare that bubble of resentment and I'm tired of this crap. I don't give a shit. I'm going to fail all the way. Screw it. That type of like angst, resentment. If you're blind, what happens to that energy?
It kind of goes away because you don't see it.
It has no use. It would be like, why would what? It just loses its legs. Notice how it's completely visible. It's a visible thing. So this tells me a lot about how you feel relative to the vision of yourself, right? Which is the foundation of this identity you created. How you identify visibly, right? So if you're feeling fat, so that I would assume if we could open this up and look at the chemistry, like it's like a pot of information. We're going to look at the recipe of this pot here. The end result is resentment, bitterness. I'm done with this crap, which is really like saying, it's like the anger response, which is victim response. If we look at how this works, there's you do have a desire to stay thin. That does exist. We know that. You kind of relapsed a few weeks ago when you lost weight. Then you've kind of come out and gone back in and come out and gone back in, which is normal. Okay. But that desire to stay thin is there. So chances are, I would bet you feel bloated and you felt fat, and the restriction to remove that, the timing of the restriction couldn't have been worse. Mm-hmm. It would have because you needed to manage it, and your real life didn't give you the space or the energy to manage it. So if we were to go back to prior to you working with me, this would have been a binge week. This would have been a full binge week. You would have been like, I can't deal. And there would have also been as all binge eaters do, whether it's a purge, immediate purge through bulimia, or diuretic use, or exercise abuse, you would have had some type of purge, or the purge would have been a restrictive diet to follow. So now we've kind of taken that away, haven't we?
Yeah.
So the problem once we take that restriction away, is you're left with the angst of getting fat, which is counter, right? That's and it isn't the actual body fat that's creating angst. It's your beliefs about what it means and the fact that you might be feeling like a failure in terms of who you feel you are and what makes you feel good about yourself. So that projection onto the food and the resentment of the dieting may be projected resentment from the fact that you feel like a failure with your body. Am I hitting the target or am I way off?
Nope. And actually, just this whole week, I'm kind of feeling like I'm sucking too. So,
well, I have to tell you that anorexics, menstrual cycles, when you actually have one, are a trigger. Because, and you can, a raging bitch. I mean, raging. It's normal PMS where you're short-tempered and whatnot. But when you add to the fact that it is absolutely healthy for your body to retain fluid and actually to gain fat up to that point, and you gain 2 to 3 pounds. I don't know what your body's doing, but it is super healthy and working perfectly. But it's working against your mentally constructed concept of worth. So you're going through a withdrawal symptom while you're on the PMS period. So it can create real anger, real withdrawal, real and if you don't open your mind, you're going to feel like you're a victim of the body.
Yeah.
And you're not, right? I mean, it's really not as bad if you remove the thin supremacy concept from it, because each month you're going to feel like a failure. You are. Yeah. Until you start to feel like my rings fit now and my clothes are better, and then you'll be like, oh, everything's great, right? Those withdrawal symptoms go away. But in the meantime, we're working on getting rid of all of the dieting, but you haven't yet fully gotten rid of the idea that it is essential, it is a requirement with this body that it stay thin.
I'm actually not even worried about how my clothes fit or how I'm looking right now. I'm kind of just like, I've had a bad week. Blah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but go into your reality of you probably have somewhere in your mind committed to the fact that you think you'll fix it. Somewhere in there, you're like, this will resolve itself. I'm not going to worry about it right now. But you're not worrying about it right now because at some point you think it may naturally resolve itself. So what would happen? So this is why I go into that blind concept, because if you were blind, it would have no power. Well, you're not blind. So you can see what's going on, and you're evaluating it. So you have an evaluation of it. Because you're not dieting and you realize that dieting would be a huge burden on you, which it is, whether you think it is or not, it is burdensome. You're probably just saying, I'm not going to worry about it right now. Yeah. And however, the fact that you are over-consuming is a sign that you may have committed to fixing it at a future time. So I want you to imagine that what's been going on is permanent.
Okay.
What if it's permanent? You'll never, and I want you to go into this as if it's fact and real, because in your mind, you're probably could be saying, well, I already know it's not, because I'm going to do everything I can. So you're not really going into what I'm telling you. I need you to go into this if it's real. You will never, the weight that you've gained, the excessive eating that you did, created the body's environment that it needs to gain fat. And you gain fat. Let's just imagine you're now 10 pounds heavier. What if you did weigh yourself knowing that it's permanent? How would that feel? The moment before you weigh yourself, knowing whatever happened is permanent.
I feel like it'd kind of be a relief.
That's after. There is a feeling you skipped before that.
Nervousness.
Thank you. I knew you skipped that. I'm like, you would be nervous, scared, hoping that it didn't show anything. But the reality is, let's imagine it's 10 pounds heavier. Now what's your thought? You weigh yourself 10 pounds heavier, and now what's the next feeling?
Yeah, then it's kind of like a relief.
Well, right before that relief is lost, should I do something? Okay, you're skipping all these emotions. You're going to what will happen because you've been there before, but you're not taking. You need to go through each individual emotion.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning again.
Awesome. I'm so glad you're getting why I'm doing this. I'm like, stop, come back, stop, come back. So you are about to weigh yourself, and the consequences of this week's, back then, I don't care, I'm going to do what I want. Anger, resentment, because you feel fat and you feel overwhelmed by the fact that you can't manage it because your life right now is circumstantially not going to allow it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's permanent. What happened this week is permanent.
Mm-hmm.
Now what? You're about to weigh yourself to see what it is. How does that feel?
That's 2, the nervousness.
Anxiety, that's what that is, yes.
I always get anxiety.
Yeah, it's the same. That's like fight or flight. Like this, I'm going to have to, it's like a cognitive dissonance. That's another, yeah, I might see something that I don't want or believe in. It goes against my alignment. So the nervousness comes from that thin supremacy.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're going to step on the scale. And I want you to imagine that it is bigger than it was before.
Mm-hmm.
Bigger than it was before you and I started working together.
Mm-hmm.
Add 5 pounds.
Okay.
And it's, how does that feel?
A little sad.
Moment of panic first. There's a moment of like, shit, what do I do? That's the first impulsiveness of like, I got to do something. But you realize that nothing's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's going to happen, right? Because do you really want to do something about it?
No.
Right? That's the suffering you've been trying to rid yourself of. Do you want to go back into that suffering? Because you could. You have a choice.
No, thank you.
Okay, so that kind of puts you into a corner, right? Because you have that initial fear of it, the initial cognitive dissonance of the weight gain that makes you feel like you're going to gag. Like, oh my God, this is real. Like, holy crap. And then you have the immediate reaction in the brain to fight or flee.
Yeah.
Right? And you realize the direction to run away from this is closed. I can't, I'm not going to do it. That's like torture. I refuse to torture myself anymore. So you're stuck there with your weight gain and the cognitive dissonance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how does it make you feel?
Relief.
Well, you're skipping it still.
Well, there was the panic, and then you try and correct it, and then there's the relief.
Well, there's still cognitive dissonance, and then you realize you have to look at the body now through a different lens. That's the only way to get rid of the cognitive dissonance. So you skipped a bunch of stuff.
Oh, okay.
This is what I'm here for. You need to understand where you get the relief. You can't just go, well, I feel relief. No, we need to understand this. The understanding of it, to me, is the awareness you need to fully and completely disengage.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's going to go back again. Fear.
Mm-hmm.
Reality.
Mm-hmm.
Denial. And then there's acceptance where you have to look at this and go, well, this isn't going to get fixed.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably a moment that you feel like a victim.
Mm-hmm.
I am to be fat. Yeah, it's so bad. My life is terrible. But there's nothing you can do about it. So how long can you sit in the cognitive dissonance and the martyr position? Which is like sitting in your own crap.
Like a couple days, and then
well,
done.
Even a couple days would be pretty terrible. Like, I don't know. Really think about this. How long are you willing to sit in that? I mean, that is like some of the worst states of consciousness are in martyrdom.
Mm-hmm.
For me, my life is everybody else's life is better than mine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's pathetic.
Mm-hmm.
I went through it. It took me very quickly to get out of it because once you realize there's nothing, right? That martyr victim positionality is a manipulation. That's the anger. That's like a very manipulative emotion, thinking that it's going to fix something or it's going to change anything. that it's someone else's fault. A lot of times when I'm working with someone, they project that anger onto me as if I'm the one taking away the escape route, which is the dieting or the exercising.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm the one that's blocking it, but am I really?
No.
I'm just telling you, well, if you want to recover, you got to shut that down. So you're the one that has to shut it down. I'm not going to shut it down because you could easily fix this. You know that, right? Like if you could go work out today, how would that feel to that insanity?
Well, I was never one of those people that like to work out.
Okay, well, whatever way you did it.
Restrict.
It would feel amazing.
Yeah. It would be like a little high.
Yeah, that's the narcotic because it's not the restriction that is high. It is the idea you're fixing that withdrawal of being fat. That's what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in control of my thinness and I'm fixing that terrible place. And it's like, oh man. Right? But that's no longer available. So you're sitting in your feelings of I'm a fat failure pig. I'm a failure. I'm ugly. I'm unwantable. And there's the cognitive dissonance that you're wanting to escape. And there's no way to escape it. So ultimately you're sitting in your own shit. So you're shitting and then sitting in it.
Gross.
But that's what this is, psychologically. That's what martyr positionality is. Yes. You're a martyr victim. You shit and then sat in it and then blamed the world. Blamed your parents. Blamed the diet industry. Blamed me. Blamed your husband. Blamed your sister. Blamed your aunt that took everything from you. I mean, you're blaming. Blaming yourself. I suck. I'm a terrible person. That is actually just, you got to really look at that. How long do you want to sit there?
Not long.
As the festering shit burns your skin off and hurting yourself when there's no one listening to you.
Yeah.
No one really, that anger and the resentment and the bitterness and poor me, no, but it's not manipulating anything because you're not willing to diet anymore.
Yeah.
So what's the point?
There is none.
So what has to happen is you have to stand up and look at the shit. You have to actually go, why is this here? Why do I keep on doing this to myself?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I'm doing it to myself. There's that actual moment you take responsibility. I'm doing this to myself. It is my own abusiveness. Yeah. I'm the one who's doing this.
Yeah.
And you look at it. And the reason you're doing this is because you actually believe that when your body is thinner, that you are better.
Yeah.
So if you have to be fatter, you have to really question if you're worse off then. Is it true that you're worse off? Open your mind. Can you explain that to the listener here?
It's really hard.
It's really not. The emotionality of it is hard, but why are you actually not worse off with this excess of weight that you're not willing to get rid of? Why is it better?
I guess just the relief of not having to diet anymore. You're free from all of that tension and pressure and everything like that.
Abuse?
Yep.
In other words, you're no longer abusing yourself.
Yeah.
You kind of have to go into, should you be abusing yourself? I mean, are you worth abuse? Did you? No, I want you to follow me right now.
Okay.
Let's go into your heart and soul for a little bit. There's a child in there. Mm-hmm. There's a space of innocence. Tell me if that innocence should be abused. Tortured, deprived, force-fed, you have to eat it all, deprived again. Should that spirit have to be starved because the body isn't what it should be?
No.
So let's go back into, are you really a victim if the body has more body fat and it's not seen as something that you can get worshipped for? Do you really want that soul to be worshipped because the body looks different, but yet the soul is now a slave and is being starved and emaciated and has no light, no air. It's in a dungeon.
Yeah.
Go into the realness of where that space of, it really is so nothing in there. It's a very serene spirit. It's a space of innocence that doesn't have a whole lot of, like, it's not manipulative. It's not loud and frothing at the mouth, is it? That's your behavior.
Yeah.
But the innocence in there, does that, should the thin body image define that spirit?
No.
Should health righteousness define that spirit?
No.
Right? Because if it does, it comes with torture, manipulation. I mean, do you see that the way that you've been living in thin supremacy and orthorexia and health righteousness through food purity? Tell me if that is, should anybody have to do that to be healthy?
No.
To be loved and accepted? I
wouldn't want anybody else to go through it either.
I would agree. That's why I said, should anybody have to do that? It's inhumane, isn't it? Especially when you look at, like, this innocence of the soul.
Mm-hmm.
To be worshipped. So should we want to be worshipped? I mean, we have to go into the narcissism of this, because it is narcissistic.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the goal is to be worshipped and to be seen as, even in your self-worship. I guarantee you, when you're thinner and you worship yourself. So beautiful. Look at my, I look so good. Yeah, there is self-worship going on. That is the grandiose sense of self.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's not to put others down, that would be pathological. You're putting yourself up.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. Should that overrun the actual innocence and humility of the soul?
Absolutely not.
Right. So if you had to surrender the self-worship, how would that feel? You'll never be worshipped again in your own mind. The body will never be used as a narcissistic supply of worship. Right? You could say the body was used as my supply of narcissism. It created the pedestal that I believed I should be on, and I worshipped it. Narcissistic supply.
Yeah. So I'm just writing this all down.
That's fine. I'm recording it. So you're surrendering the narcissistic supply. You don't have your supply of I'm superior. So how do you feel now? Does it feel like nothingness?
Yeah.
Empty? Well, why aren't you going to that spirit you put in the jail cell of you don't have a voice? It's like the innocence of a child. It's super innocent. Precious. Pure, clean. It's like real clean in terms of, like, its integrity is so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Loves everything, loves everyone. I get the sense that it wants to take something as simple as a flower and let it be, because it is so beautiful. It sees everything through the lens of beauty.
Mm-hmm.
What if that were to come out and that's who you are?
Well, that does come out a lot.
Reverse that. Erase what you just said. So let's start over. Because it doesn't really. It probably only comes out in certain environments, so you put it back in jail. So the question is, what I'm talking about is, you are never again going to pretend to be something you're not and put that preciousness in a cage. So just because you randomly bring it out doesn't mean that it's that you haven't abused it, right? You're not important. I'm talking about permanently, that you're never again going to use a narcissistic supply, because you're surrendering the self-righteousness, the actual narcissism? What if you only had the nakedness of the soul? You are never again going to manipulate your perception or others' perception of you through some facade, whether it's a constructed facade of religion, a constructed facade of patriotism, a constructed facade of politics or of money or of success socially. Like you're gonna strip yourself of all of those social idols, and you're stuck with the realness of the spirit. And it's in a fatter body.
Yeah, that would be a relief.
I know. See, that's where the relief comes. Now we're at relief in terms of breaking this down.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like just telling the truth.
Yeah.
And being okay that it's going to get judged. It's almost like the burden of perfectionism just melts away. The burden of pretentiousness, the burden of competing with other people. Oh, so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's all gone.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Like if all you have to do is just open the heart, right? Open the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Illuminate the spirit, which is so sweet and tender.
Yeah.
Tender-hearted, that's the word. I can feel it. Super tender. Like this little tiny bud from this flower in the middle of the desert is precious.
Yeah.
That's the feeling I'm getting, and I could be way off, but when I'm connecting to you going, oh, this is precious.
Yeah.
Like, you're the type of person that does not want to disturb.
No, definitely.
Why is that not powerful enough for you? Why does it have to be about perfecting the body? Everything else gets the freedom, but not the body you're in, because it has to be perfect.
It's a lot of pressure to put on myself, I know.
The body. It's pressure to put on your body.
But it's mentally.
I wonder if it's you're super afraid of someone dishonoring the soul, maybe. That it must be offensive to you. Are you offended when people are super critical of artwork, like someone's artwork?
Yeah, because that would hurt their feelings if they said it to them.
So the issue, I believe, comes from the fact that you don't think you can handle someone criticizing that spirit that you put in jail. So what you're doing is creating a facade to protect how fragile you feel about it happening to you. And that's why you are, I totally get that clear as day right now. So can you handle others criticizing? What if that criticism is true, right? You are not pretty enough. Your house is ugly. You don't have the right car. You don't make enough money. You're a terrible parent. Your wedding looks like shit. Right? I want you to experience all of that, but know that that little precious soul is who's managing the whole thing and who's presenting the whole thing. It's like you're creating, let's just say, your wedding from the heart of that precious little girl. And people come in and go, this is terrible, so unclassy.
Oh, that would upset me.
Okay, but so let's reverse that and let's go back into it. The precious soul is creating what feels right to her.
Mm-hmm.
The little girl is like, I love this color. I love these flowers. I don't want to do it here. I want to do it here. It feels so perfect for me. It is such a great expression of my love. Mm-hmm. And someone comes out and starts to filter it through the lens of marriage ideology, which is what we see all the time in the media, right? Yes. Haven't you been to Kleinfeld's?
Yeah.
Anyway, so someone comes in and is like, this is so out of touch. Like, oh my God, her flowers are ugly. The cake is gross. And I can't believe the venue. I mean, it is so trashy. Just feel that. And can you handle that without having to defend yourself and to avoid, and to even, I mean, can you, if you are creating this experience from the heart of the soul and someone says it should not be that, it should be something different.
Yeah, that I would find that difficult.
Yeah, I think that's difficulty that you feel in is that you are codependent with other people's opinion.
Yes.
Right? So other people's opinion has unfortunately been part of how you've established your sense of safety and security in the tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this comes to that third hierarchy of need. Our desire to feel lovable. Am I lovable? So what happens when you establish the security of that lovability based on other people's opinion? It means that you are looking to feel safe by assimilating to the environment. The problem with that is you eventually end up with these types of coping mechanisms, right? Alcoholism, body imageism, obsessive compulsive-ism of something, perfectionism in areas, chronic depression, feeling like a loser, constantly overreaching in perfectionism to try to feel better about it. You're overreaching in a predictable way, right? It's social ideals and programs. The question is, can you secure your worth as a human being removed of other people's opinion? Do you need validation to feel valued? Because don't you agree, if we really strip this apart, that is the core of the problem, that you are incredibly sensitive to other people's approval, one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So what if that's the problem here? That you haven't yet approved of yourself because you're still waiting for someone to say that you're approvable. I'm giving you that validation right now. You're amazing. You have a perfect little soul in there. You need me to tell you that?
No.
Well, you have, right? If if someone can come in and you're expressing the heart of that and someone goes, this isn't right, and you absorb that, you are not secure. That third hierarchy of need is not secure.
Yeah.
And it won't ever be secure because you constantly need the validation to feel that security. Even if you get it, even if you get your Oprah's defining moment in your life, right? You're still defined by social parameters and how the society perceive those parameters. So whether it's, I just won $1 million, I just lost 200 pounds, I just got married because that's one. I'm, whatever the social program says you should be to be accepted into their clique.
Mm-hmm.
The goal here right now in this moment is that you no longer need someone else to validate your worth. So the question is, if we remove someone else, that means all programs, social programs, and to include your parents' opinion, your fiance's parents' opinion, Kleinfeld's opinion about your wedding, Pinterest's opinion about what your flowers should look like. If we remove all of those, do you feel secure in your own expression?
Mm-hmm.
Do you really? Because if you did, you wouldn't be influenced by someone else's opinion.
Well,
right? If you felt really good about your decision, just using the wedding as an example, if you felt so good about it, you love it, it brings your heart like sparkles, like you're like the Care Bear where its sign just goes, blah. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. If someone comes in and goes, that's the wrong like Care Bear picture, it's ugly.
Like, is it your wedding?
Well, there's that. And does it really matter if they don't like it? If they truly don't like it, they feel not like when they come to your wedding.
I don't really care. That's my wedding.
I understand that. Notice how you're starting to pull this open and see the separateness between their projected opinion and your expression, right? So let's strip this down to the bare nakedness of the source of who you are. If you're rejected, abandoned, disapproved of, if you're a failure, you suck at all of it. Your wedding's done wrong. Your parenting is terrible. Your children are horrible people. Let's just imagine you failed on every front of social, tribal, pack programming that's out there right now. To say, we're going to give you validation. Just do what we say. We'll validate you and you're going to play, right? Just imagine if you be yourself and you suck at all of it that's out there. Is that presence in you that's empty and peaceful and serene and is precious? Is that good enough for you? Even if it's not good enough for all those programs that are pretty abusive that are out there, that expect you to starve yourself, eliminate gluten, that want you to dress perfectly, spend $10,000+ on your wedding gown, and they want you to create that whole facade because it makes them trillions of dollars.
No, I'm okay with me.
Right? So that is, if we take that third hierarchy of need, which is, do I have something of value? Well, if you strip away all the social programs, where does that value come from?
Inside.
And what is that? What does that feel like?
Feels better.
Tell me what it feels like. Not a comparison. What does that inside feel like?
Gentle.
Totally, right? Remember when I said it's like there's nothingness in there, but it's sweet. It's like super precious. It's like this thinness. Not physically, but it's like this. It feels like innocent, empty.
Yeah.
Should we judge that?
No.
Because that's the only thing that's actually true about you.
Like a little white bunny.
Yes! It's so not narcissistic. Because, the white bunny to a narcissist is pathetic. You need to have way more than that to make it here in the United States,
Yep.
But that's all you really have. So what if that to you is just awesomeness?
Yep.
Which one's better? That little white bunny in there that's so sweet and wants to sniff everything and just snuggle?
Yep.
Or the thin body of perfect righteousness that's getting all this worship?
The little bunny.
I know. What if that's all you have to be in this lifetime?
That'd be amazing.
Okay. Tell me how that feels.
Kind. Generous. Soft. Gentle.
How does that little bunny feel about that person that came in and just criticized the wedding?
A little angry.
Mm-mm. That's not the bunny. That's the narcissism coming out. Reverse it. Rewind and start over.
Whatever. Just let it go. Not really care because
it's kind of really sad, right? Because that person's being held hostage in a program. Really what happens is you start to have compassion.
Yes.
For people who are institutionalized, right? Programmed. The projection of that means that that's what they hold themselves to. Could you imagine the pressure?
Nope.
Well, you actually can because you've been living that way. You've been living that way. Imagine the pressure that person feels to meet those standards.
That's true.
So let's unravel the narcissism right now.
Yep.
Go back to the purity of that bunny. Let's rewind, and I want you to start over. How does that, so connect to that space of innocence. And it's being judged. How does that feel? How do you feel about the judger, the stone thrower, the picketer, the pitchfork person?
Just let it go.
They don't really know what they're doing, do they?
No.
And you can connect with their perfectionism, that they really truly believe, right? That's how they treat themselves. So what comes inherent to that type of treatment of themselves?
How you treat other people.
Well, yeah, and how do you feel? How do you think they feel inside?
Not very good.
They don't feel the white little bunny. They're feeling a big, big, big dark space full of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Yes.
So how does that space, that innocence in you, what does it see in that person?
The good.
The innocence that they're not aware of.
Yeah.
That they're not giving power. They're
Mm-hmm.
giving power to the program. Whatever program they're in, they're giving that power. They're not giving power to themselves. They're more concerned about the program than they actually are themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They've let go of who they are for a program. So they are presenting you a program. That's how they are, and that's who you are, and that's what makes them better, and that's what should make you better, and you're worse because you don't follow theirs, so they're superior, whatever that game is. Anyways.
I'm seeing that a lot right now with all that multi-level marketing.
Oh, yeah.
On Facebook and Instagram right now. Come be a beach body. I'm the coach, and I can teach you, and I can blah, 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 blah. I see a lot of that projection of...
Well, it starts at the top. You know that, right?
Yeah.
I'm superior. Worship me. Worship, worship, worship. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a program. It's a system. Money. Make some money. Be thin. Make money at the same time. That's like the double whammy program.
No thanks.
What are you getting from this session right now?
A release. Letting go of all the pressure and trying to let the innocent spirit, soul that I've had locked up for a long time, trying to let that out.
What if that is the only thing that really is who you are? I mean, all the rest is just facade. It's all programming. What if that innocent space is the only thing that's real? And you don't have to lie about anything anymore.
Then that's perfect.
Tell me how that feels about the body you're in.
You stop judging it.
Well, it's not going to be worshipped anymore because you're not willing to be perfected anymore.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
Good.
Are you a martyr? Are you going to be victimized by that? I mean, you're fatter right now.
No. I don't really care anymore.
Well, it doesn't really matter anymore. Sorry, my husband just called.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, think about if you no longer have to feel secure. If you feel secure in the innocence of the soul, what happens to your need to be programmed by these social programs?
It goes away.
Yeah, what happens to the pleasure of being thin then?
That goes away.
Yeah, so if that goes away, then how do you feel about being fatter?
That also goes away.
Yeah, you don't feel anything. It's kind of like the body has nothing to do with what makes you feel safe and lovable. So the question you have to ask yourself is, are you lovable if there is absolutely no program? So, one way to do it is to go through failure of all the programs. If you fail at all of the programs, you're not good at music, you don't have the right clothes, you don't like the right colors, you have the wrong language, you're from the wrong country, you're a different race, you're poor. If you strip away all the programs and you failed at all of the programs,
yeah,
are you still, what is there to secure you?
I feel like I don't need any validation.
Well, if you validate that innocence as worthy, right, that's a gift, a precious, powerful gift of life, do you need life sustenance from achieving a program that's been given to you by society that makes a ton of money on that, right? Do you need to achieve social ideology? If you inherently feel that your gift of life is good enough, that you come to the table as a great person, that you know the innocence of that heart, and that innocence is actually your worth.
Yeah.
And you feel so empowered by that that's what you're willing to share.
Yeah.
If you share that and someone rejects you, how does that feel? Under this position I'm putting you.
Then it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't feel, it's not your problem. Like, it's self-eliminating.
Yes.
It's not a problem. You almost want to present the reality of you so that people can just either show their true heart of attraction to you, or they can just reject you because you don't have the right shoes, the right car, the right money, the right politics, the right whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They can just judge you, and you don't have to work hard.
Yeah.
At securing their validation. You no longer have to defend yourself. You just be like, well, this is my creation, my piece of art. And if someone doesn't like it, they shouldn't look at it. They should find what they like. They should connect with their heart. That's okay.
Yeah.
But it's precious to me, and so that's what I'm going to present. It's like telling the truth up front. Here's who I am. And you accept that in being real, people who are programmed are going to judge you. Because you are not doing things the way you should.
Yeah. Oh, well.
It's not your program. It's not your fault. That just is basically, it makes you aware of their program.
Yes.
That they're using programs to feel safe and secure. And you know what? We've all done it.
Oh, definitely.
And we've all come to this point of realizing I can't afford to waste any more life working and slaving to this degree just to feel somewhat safe in a program.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, you're constantly feeling threatened in that space.
Mm-hmm.
So when we eliminate all this work and you just decide that third hierarchy of need, do you have worth? And where does it come from?
Mm-hmm.
When you align that with that sweet innocence that you are, what happens to your sense of safety and security in your life?
Well, I think that you just, like I said, you have to be secure with that, with your inner self, and not worry about anything else.
Well, if you're secure with your inner self, what happens to the worry about everything else?
There is none.
It goes away. So tell me how it feels. So if you've got enough food and water, you've got a place to live that keeps you safe from the elements and animals, and you have that sense of value as a human being with absolutely nothing. In fact, you failed at everything and you feel good about yourself because you're just going to be real, humble.
Mm-hmm.
How does that feel in terms of how your established sense of safety as a human, to have those secured?
That's a relief.
Yeah. So at this point, what do you have to lose?
Nothing.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. So what if you are having a period and you're hungrier? So what? Why does that matter? Is that any of your business?
No.
Aren't you lucky we have so much food that you can eat more? And
yes.
You don't have to worry about it.
Yes.
You're hungrier. You should be eating more. Why should you feel bad about something that's ridiculous? Yeah, you're bloating up. Yes, that's what happens to the human body. Every month. Us fertile women go through it.
Mm-hmm.
Every month. For the rest of your egg's life.
Yep.
You might, what do you have, like 30 more years of it?
Yeah.
You might want to get used to monthly weight gain and what comes with it, right?
Yeah.
Should you have to feel bad about that? I mean, really step out and look at how the stuff you've been feeling terrible about.
Yeah, it's sad.
It's just like, wow. Now I could see if you torture kittens and you're,
That's terrible. Yeah.
I could see you feeling bad about that, But even then, it's out of my realm of understanding, and so it is forgivable. So it's like, look at what you were feeling bad about, and feeling angry about, and feeling resentment about.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything to feel bad about at this point?
No. Nope, not at all.
Yeah. So what I want you to do is I want you to eat when you're hungry today. And I want you to eat adequately. And if you're not hungry, are you entitled? Are you coming from a place of resentment, anger? I deserve it.
No.
No. There's nothing wrong. Why do you feel like I'm a victim martyr, right? There's nothing wrong. So I want you to contemplate, do you really want to feel like a victim in a first world environment?
No.
So, do you have anything you want to say to the listener?
No.
Okay.